David Copperfield inspired my magic more than any other magician. His work was so creative, innovative, and artistic. It made me want to be a better magician. We are thrilled David reached out to Magical Women and suggested this panel talk. It's my great pleasure to introduce David Copperfield.
Thank you for the kind words, and it's an honor for me to be here among such an amazingly talented group of individuals. And I was always amazed that the amount of female magicians wasn't like it is becoming today. This is an amazing time in our world. It should have been like this the whole time, really, because besides Adelaide Herman and various different people, the resurgence is happening now of the level of talent, the level of quality is superb and really, really inspiring.
Do you know what, David? I think that each of these magicians have their own specific style, their own original work, their distinctive brands, and they're very comfortable in their own skin. And that comes from originality. And it's so important to create material that reflects who you are and what you are and is true to yourself. And also, can you just tell the viewers and the people watching how important it is to create original material?
You have that skill. A lot of people don't have that skill. Ricciardi, one of the great performers of all time, not much was original, but he performed it so well, amazing. So you don't have to have original stuff. If you do, though, that's pretty good. If you can find a way to create stuff that really hasn't been done before and really, have it yourself with a team, find stuff that's really, really unique to you. In my career, it was always finding, how do I make it all natural? The object's natural and, do the decolleté chair, but there's no trap door. So I put it on a table. And so what's the logic of a chair and a table? Okay, it could be an attic. Okay, good. And then, it's a girlfriend that you miss. And then she's a dream and she disappears at the end with the whole interaction. So it became that, or even a zigzag, it was done as an MGM musical, non-original, totally zigzag as a classic. But I did it as a date with a magician. It's finding a way to incorporate and making it kind of an unusual thing. But creation of new things is very, very important to me. If you see my show now, it's all about dinosaurs and spaceships and principles that don't exist in magic. And a lot of you I know are creating things like that have an original thing. So not only is the performing level, the acting or the dancing, all those things at your best in magic, unfortunately, we're doing the same stuff other people doing. It's the same thing over and over again. And there's a real effort or dream to really, if you can do it, to find stuff that's really invent new things that don't look and feel the same. And that's has been important to me.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that all four magicians do that. And Josephine's performance on Britain's Got Talent, she took a combination of things that go bump in the night and floating balls and just made a beautiful combination and put it together so it became unique and a signature piece to her. Maybe it's interesting to ask each person, what is the routine? It doesn't have to be original, but the routine that they really put their stamp on that they feel is, their signature piece.
I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear it. Who wants to go first? Carisa.
I don't want to go first. Sure. That's a really good question. I honestly don't think about being original or any of that. I mostly just think about what's fun to perform. And I think more than anything, more than any individual trick, what I think people have seen in my work that is unique is that it's different every show. I really try to have a lot of improv in my show, and my show is very high risk, high reward kind of thing. So people come back and see it over and over again. There are whole routines that I start not knowing where it's going, where there's 5 outcomes that are ready to go that I can jump into. So I think that's kind of what I've brought to magic more than any individual routine. I think you can see it maybe the most in my chop cup. It's a fairly standard chop cup in a way, but the point of it is that it's the game. It's the game with that spectator. That game is so important. The prop almost doesn't matter. The real trick is, how is this woman gonna make this guy wrong every time? No matter what he says, he's gonna be wrong. And that's sort of the game. I think, yeah, I think it's beyond tricks. I think it's like, what is your flavor? What is your intention with your work? And how is that intention different?
I think, no, I know you work better than the other ladies because we work together. But I would say as an outsider, it's, what is the thing that people can grab onto? They grab onto that your character likes to drink a little bit, cares about the cocktails. We understand. That's the relatable thing like that. Even the chop cup is using parts of a shaker, right? Is that the routine with the shaker, the chop cup?
That's the one.
So it feels different because the object has been transported into a relatable object, not just a brass cup with a magnet on it. Sorry to reveal the secrets, but the fact that it's coming from it becomes a more natural object because it's coming from that whole world of this chick who likes to anyway. I think that's amazing.
And one of the things you talk about all the time is having a team, and that's a thing I have started to appreciate working in the pandemic, because mostly I work by myself, but it's different when you have like a team. And I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Like, it's easier for someone else to see your work from the outside and kind of see what is special about it or what's interesting about it. During the pandemic, I've had the opportunity to work with Richard Lee and Miranda Allen, who have contributed so much, because exactly what you're saying, like, they can see things that I can't see. I can only see my intention and whether or not it was successful. I can't necessarily see the unintended consequences of my actions.
For me, it's about having the audience is my best team. I've got Chris Kenner, Homer Lewag, really brilliant people. Their magic is amazing, and very good collaboration. And not besides them, and the audience. I think one of my skills is I'm a good listener. I listen to the audience, listen to people. I'm able to listen to all the bad stuff, tell me what's bad, but then kind of parse it out and figure it out. But I think, the audience as being a team member is an amazing thing. And I do 600 shows a year, 15 shows a week. And every show I learn something. And it's really, really amazing. I know you all agree, because it's, it's been your experience. Without question, anybody that is grown or done is learned from that audience. And, just because they're there and because they react and they're going to say things to you and so forth. So that's Dania. What do you think about this?
Well, yes, everything you said about listening to the audience, I think that's what has brought me to how my magic is right now. All my references that I loved when I started, it came a point where I got this opportunity here in Spain to go to this show, and I started thinking, what do I do in this audition? I can, do whatever every other magician is doing, or should I do something different? I have just one opportunity to show the world who I am as a magician, as an artist, as a person, just one shot. So one night I said, what do I like to do? Card magic, flourishes, and also my story. It was important for me to people know what I was doing here in Spain. So how I came here. So I mixed all of that. So I did a Sam de Bellhop type of routine, but telling my personal story, my personal journey. And I took a risk because I didn't know how the audience would, if they were going to connect. So I did that routine. I told my story with the cards, and I discovered that people want to connect more than they want to be amazed. They want to really connect with the performer, with the magician, and I learned many things because of that response. People in the street, the first thing they said, "You made me cry." That's the sentence that I've heard the most. And I said, okay, so I have the ability to connect with people to that level. So I started developing more and more magic connected to my story, my personal story. So I started doing a show. It's like an autobiographic show where I tell all the journey that I told you about. And that's the thing that I'm very grateful to, because I found who I wanted to be as a magician. And well, I stayed true to myself.
Perfect. Love it. I can relate. Good for you. Josephine, all of you have very good paths. All of you. You've all articulated those paths very, very well. It's like all these people that keep evolving. And, you make mistakes during that time. And, you dare to be bad. So I take major risks to be really bad, and fight to make it work, and have you had experiences like that, Josephine? Have you had an experience where you tried something and you weren't sure and then found the way?
I think that was the hardest thing that I had to come to terms with when I started doing magic on my own, because as a dancer or an assistant, you learn what you're going to do, you go out there and you do it. Whereas as a magician, when you go out there, you have to fail to realize what works, what doesn't work, what needs to change. And with a background in dance, that's so hard, because every time you fail, you think, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm not good enough, I need to stop. So it was a battle for a long time to be brave enough to fail. Mm-hmm.
But you learn, if you can really, take the beating and then just rethink about it and just figure it out. Man, I call it, I've said this many times, glorious torture. That's my thing, glorious torture. I'm going to have, I'm going to torture myself and finally figure it out, put myself really at risk. And finding the minimal thing, finding the simplest thing is the hardest thing. It's like our instinct as magicians, our instinct is to add layers and layers and layers of stuff and to have explanations and talking. If you can somehow cut every bit of fat off of it, every bit of fat, you end up with something. And it's so hard to get to that simple moment. It's so hard to this day, Billy.
Hi.
Hi.
What was the question again?
I know we're riffing. What's your deal? What's your deal?
I am paying attention. My deal, I guess, I read a lot of books. I really like the history of magic. I like the classics of magic. I'm drawn to certain, for whatever reason, I'll be like, I like this routine or this trick or whatever, but what does that actually mean to me is kind of where I start. And then I do as much research as possible. I'll find anything in print that's written on said routine, any performer who's ever performed it. If there's video, I study it and I make notes as to what are the similarities, whether in patter or in blocking and presentation, that they're all doing the same. And then I go from there going, I'm not allowed to do any of that. And so I start from a blank slate. And it's difficult. It takes a bloody long time to really try not to do what everyone else is doing. And it's not out of spite. I just go, why are they doing it the same? And is there anything behind it? And it's complex, but I love that. That's all good. But it's like take an idea, like justify it, and pretty much every routine or piece I do goes through that process of the research of what everyone else is doing, what not to do, finding those reasons behind it. So I think every routine I do is never like a filler. It's always, I kind of think of it like a movement. Like you got your first, your second, and your third move in a piece of music. So each piece has to be standalone. And then I connect all the dots in my show and think of the audience, like what would I want to experience when I'm sat in an audience? What's like the best thing I want to happen as an audience member? How can I make that feeling for them?
I really relate, because we go through an amazing process with every single thing that we do like that. Exactly. What's the why? How do you make it more natural? How do you make it all make sense? Some things succeed better than others, but mostly we've been pretty good about kind of justifying it and going through to make it as good as it can be. And I'm hearing from all the ladies today is, everyone has a care for really exploring to really beat the shit out of the piece till you get it to the best you possibly can be. And all of you are doing that same thing, just that whole quest of never being satisfied and being frustrated and all that is great. It's really, really great. And it ends up with why you're all doing pretty good, right? You're doing pretty good. Not too bad. Yeah. And it's because of that.
I think times are changing. I think that it's a wonderful thing. There are more magicians and exposure to magicians through social media than in my lifetime now, and for good and bad. But having access to those people and having access, David, to you today, and to actually listen to you and you share your thoughts and your opinions, and having this fabulous talented panel that are just through the roof, just thrilling to be included in this project. And it's wonderful. If you enjoyed this chat as much as I did, and you haven't already subscribed and hit the notifications bell, please do so. Oh, And don't forget to comment. We love to hear from you and to receive feedback so we can grow and improve our Magical Women channel and project.